Alright, I'm going to just do a quick video review. This is a side note. I got my... I want to go over this at some point in another video because you might find it helpful. I love my GoPro, don't get me wrong. But I opted not to go for the GoPro 4. If you're buying one brand new, sure, buy the GoPro 4. But there's very few reasons to upgrade from the 3 Plus Black to the new GoPro 4 Black, as you probably already seen from other reviews. The only advantage I really saw is that you could film in 2.7 at 50 frames per second, which means you would be able to have some pretty decent footage without any jello, without any, and be able to stabilize it pretty easily. For the most part, on my GoPro, I record at 1440 at 48 frames a second, and the reason for that is because obviously you can get everything in if you're not looking at the screen. You know you're going to be able to crop it wherever you need to and get, like, for selfies, stuff like that. You're always in somewhere. What you're trying to film is you kind of just aim your camera and you got it. Sorry, I'm just distracted at the moment. Well, anyway, with that being said, that's why I use the 1440, and also at the 48 frames a second, I have found that pretty much I can stabilize any kind of footage, and it does a decent job. As soon as you kick into the low, like 24, I'm sorry, yeah, 24 frames a second, 30 frames a second, you're going to get the jello effect, and you're not going to be able to get that out. If it's really bright outside, you won't, because your shutter speed will be fast enough. But when you're set it to 48 frames a second, you're forcing the shutter speed to never be slower than 1/48th of a second, because the frame rate is 48 frames a second. So that will get rid of. That's why the jello is manageable at that level. Of course, when you film like that, that means you have to turn the low light, auto low light off, because of course then it switches to 24 frames a second, and then you're going to get jello again. Now, if you're using a tripod, that doesn't matter. Again, the advantage I saw with the GoPro 4 was the fact that you could record at 2.7 at 50 frames a second. That is pretty cool. But do I really want to upgrade just for that? I picked a different camera as my upgrade. If this GoPro dies, when this GoPro buys, I will replace it with a GoPro 4, sure. But I went ahead and I didn't even opt for 4K. I think that's really, yes, that's wonderful, but unless I've got a pretty decent computer. I spent $3 on it. The laptop, everything I do is a laptop. Sure, if you've got a desktop, that's fine, but a laptop's how I exist, so you're kind of limited on that. And I don't want to run out and buy another computer right now. And needless to say, my laptop does pretty good, but if you try to edit 4K footage on that thing, it's going to take too long. It's just, unless you got some money really to shell out into this, it's not just a matter of getting a 4K camera. You're going to have to get a computer that's heavy duty enough that you can process 4K footage and get it done in a timely fashion. So I went ahead and got me, and I can't open it at this moment, I'll do a different video. It just came in, my Sony RX100 Mark III. A few reasons why I did go with this camera, even though it's 1080. It has a great bit rate, so compression, all that, it's going to be still very low on the artifacts because of the bit rate, but it's like 60 megabits per second. The other reason I went with it, several things, is you can fit it in your pocket. That's a big plus for me. I'm sure you read all the reviews. This isn't really a review site. This is just why I picked that camera. You can fit it in your pocket. So I found with the GoPro, I use it all the time because I can take it with me, and it's not cumbersome and a pain in the butt like I had with my SLR, which I don't have a DSLR anymore because I never used it because it was just too much work to carry around. So the Sony I like because, one, you can actually plug in an external USB to the port on it, and you can power the camera by an external USB just like you can with the GoPro. That's a very important feature. If you got to be out all day, you know, yes, you got those USBs will fit in your pocket. Those USB power adapters will fit in your pocket. I got one like this, which, by the way, I'm going to do a review on that in a little bit too. Check my other video. I'll keep it a separate video because this one will get long. So that was the other feature, is it can fit in your pocket. You can run it on an external battery. It has a optical zoom. Yes, it's only 3 times, but you know, for something you can fit in your pocket, it's an optical zoom. That was the issue I had also with the GoPro. The resolutions that you're getting, it's not like you can record 4K at the narrow resolution. It's not like you can record 2K at the narrow resolution. 2K, 2.7K, you're actually, it's the medium or the wide resolution. So if you crop the wide down to narrow, it's still only 1080. So you're really not zooming out any more than if you just filmed at 1080 at 60 frames a second. So the stuff far away, you're not gaining. Yeah, if you're going to use 2.7K footage and you're using the full width, you're going to benefit from that resolution when you do motion stabilization or if you do some minor cropping. But if you wanted to actually get like the narrow view, you're not going to get that. You know, the narrow view is only available on the resolutions that we still already have on the GoPro 3. And, 1080 and all that, yeah, you can shoot narrow and you've got those, but as soon as you get to 2.7, as soon as you get to 4K, you don't have them. So it's not like you can really still zoom in anything out there digitally. I mean, it's not like you can record something and then zoom in with software and not lose, because you can't record narrow at 2.7. So you're not gaining anything. The only thing you're gaining is that you can record now at 2.7 at 50K or 50 frames per second, I'm sorry, and that helps get rid of the jello. That's it. That's your gain. And so again, don't get me wrong, I love GoPros, but it just wasn't what I needed to do for my next progression into where I'm going with cameras. So that's why I didn't go to the GoPro 4. That's also why I went with the Sony Mark III. Fits in your pocket. If you want, you can also get a waterproof case for it, but I think I'll just use my GoPro for any of that more rugged stuff, you know, underwater, stuff like that. The third reason I went with the Sony is because it's got a 1-inch sensor. Obviously, the GoPro does not have a 1-inch sensor. It's a 1/8 sensor and a lens at 1.8, so it's a nice fast lens. So night footage, yes, you can get better cameras out there, but not that fit in your pocket, not that will run on an external battery, and not that have that bit rate. It's just the all-around next step up that would be complementary to the GoPro. The GoPro has its field that I can use it for. The Sony has the next step. Now, when I go to progress to my third camera, which I'll probably get in a couple years when I actually start planning a shot, then I'll buy a nice DSLR. But if you're on the go and you're wanting to, you know, spur the moment kind of camera like what the GoPro is, that's why I've opted for the Sony RX100 Mark III. It's actually, you know, gives you something the GoPros can't. It fills that gap. You can also carry it in one pocket, carry the GoPro in the other. You still got, you know, I mean, it's still fairly small, easy to take with you. You're good to go. And you got 2 cameras. So that's why I went that route. Again, I'm going to do another video about the actual Mark III when we open it tonight. My kid wants to wait. And I'm going to do a follow-up video right after this one about these USB batteries. Don't get this. It's a waste of time. Just buy one from the kind with the solar panel. It's a waste of time. I'll explain more in a different video. All right. Thanks, guys.